it is very unfair to invite people to your house and then jam the door on their faces. Hello beautiful people, welcome back to the Canada Inform channel. My name is Wolo. I am an RCIC based in New Brunswick, Canada. I used to be a Manitoban, still a Manitoba. By the end of this year, I will stop talking about being a Manitoban because I'm now a New Brunswicker. Okay, so I talk about immigrating to Canada and life in Canada and everything that you need to know about Canada. If you're new to this channel, please subscribe and give me a thumbs up and you will get updates about immigration to Canada. Today's video is about Quebec, and I just want to give a brief background of this Quebec. I'm just saying this Quebec because you will get to understand what I'm talking about by the time you start living in Canada. For those who live in Canada, we know, but we don't stop. We just don't say anything, but we know. Of course, you know. You can't say some things that will put you into trouble. Okay, so in 2022, Quebec decided that they wanted international students to come to Canada and pay domestic tuition fee as low as 3,000 Canadian dollars in 2022. I'll put the announcement so that you can see it. They made that announcement, and people who could speak French, people who were from Francophone countries, who wanted to take advantage of the domestic student tuition fee of 3,000 CAD, they were encouraged to come to Canada to study in Quebec, especially if they were going to study outside the city area, in smaller communities. That is where you could get such tuition for international students, where you pay 3,000 Canadian dollars. And if I remember, I think I did a video where I was even encouraging people to go and learn French to take advantage of that low tuition fee. I mean, of course, it's not everybody that can afford $10,000, $15,000, or $20,000 as tuition fee. And if Quebec was saying that international students could pay $3,000, which was for domestic students, I mean, if that is the only opportunity for you to come to Canada, why not go and learn French and come and take advantage of that? I remember I did a video about that. Now, this is 2024, and Quebec is now saying that they are going to pause the pathway for international students to become permanent residents, meaning those who came to study in Canada as at 2022, if they have not gotten their PR, they will not be able to get their PR because the pathway for them to become permanent residents is now closed or now paused. So you will watch this video where they are talking about it, and I'll tell you my opinion, what I think after the video.
Overhaul news here at home, where the Quebec government is pausing two major pathways to permanent residency as part of a plan to overhaul its immigration strategy. Premier François Legault says high immigration levels are straining social and health services, and the province will use this period to clear out the backlog of applications in the system. CBC's Marina von Stackelberg is on this for us, and she joins us now. So, Marina, tell us more about Quebec's plan.
Yeah, so Quebec plans to stop sending out these Quebec selection certificates, and they are essentially a key kind of part of the process if you want to become a permanent resident in that province. And it will be specifically for two streams, so for foreign students looking to become permanent residents and economic immigrants. So these are people who have come here to work. The Quebec government says this will be temporary, as you mentioned there, to deal with the backlog. And while they're doing that, they are going to come up with a new plan to deal with immigration in that province. Now, applications that are in the works will not be impacted, the Quebec government says, but this is kind of part of a larger conversation that is going on in Canada about immigration. Quebec, the Premier of Quebec, François Legault, has been quite outspoken on his concerns about the quantity of people that are coming into his province, just saying essentially that they can't handle the sheer amount, and he has been asking Ottawa to do more to deal with that.
Sorry, Marina, how is the federal government responding to this?
Yeah, so this is an ongoing battle between Ottawa and Quebec over immigration. And Mark Miller, Canada's immigration minister, says he's been asking Quebec for a plan to deal with its immigration issues. Quebec, as part of its kind of way of being within Canada, is responsible for about half of its immigration numbers. And so Mark Miller today in the House of Commons said he doesn't quite understand why Quebec is doing this. He said the plan of attack for Canada and for the Quebec government has been to reduce the number of temporary residents coming into the country. But these people are people who are already here that are seeking permanent residency. They're already here living in Quebec, living in Canada. And he said now that these applications are on hold, that's unfortunate for those people. He says it's hard to know why Quebec is doing this. And he called those people really the creme de la creme of people that, Quebec should want to be permanent residents there. Have a listen to more of what he had to say.
I welcome the pedagogical exercise that they say they're going to do next year, but it's still incomplete. We've been saying for months to Mr. Legault to give us a plan to reduce temporary residence that he's been clamoring for, and we haven't seen his share of it. The plan that we presented is measurable, whether you agree with it or not. We still haven't seen a single thing from him when it comes to temporary residence reductions.
Now, this comes exactly a week from when Immigration Minister Mark Miller stood up in that exact location and said that Canada was going to be reducing its immigration numbers. The number of permanent residents it would allow in the country, it had originally estimated for 500,000. It will now be dropped to below 400,000. And that's because Canada's population has really exploded. Last year, we saw more population growth than we have since the 1950s. The vast majority of that was from immigration. But many of those new Canadians were temporary residents who are here to work. And Canada, of course, has a severe labor shortage. And so this has been something that the federal government has trying to delicately balance, obviously needing immigration and being a country that welcomes immigration, but also trying to balance the population trends that are happening. And we do know that Canadians' opinions on immigration are changing. A recent Abacus poll found that half of Canadians now saw the immigration system negatively. So Mark Miller today, commenting on what Quebec is doing, he said that Francophones could come to the rest of the country. He said if they're not going to be welcome within Quebec, that he would be working to make sure that those people seeking permanent residency could do so elsewhere in Canada.
I just feel that it is very unfair to invite people to your house and then jam the door on their faces. Although some people would say, if you're coming as a temporary resident, you shouldn't be entitled to anything. You told them that you have what it takes to return back to your home country. But just for us to be clear, the backlog they are talking about is not backlog caused by international students. No, it's backlog of those people that came to claim asylum. Because it's only Ontario and Quebec that can take asylum claimants until the announcement where the Minister for Immigration was encouraging other provinces to take asylum claimants. So the backlog they're actually talking about is asylum claimants, not international students. But they decided to shut the door to permanent residency for international students because of the backlog of asylum claimants. And there was a time I did a video where I was saying that those who got visiting visa, who did not even have the intention of claiming asylum, if you are buying your ticket, avoid the Montreal airport because you will either be forced to claim asylum or you'll be sent back to your home country. So these issues, them forcing people to claim asylum, caused a lot of backlog in processing, and now it is now affecting or impacting the potential of international students to become permanent residents in Quebec. Anyway, so I just said that I will share this video just to warn anybody. Avoid Quebec. And I pray that the rest of Canada does not take the same action that Quebec has taken, which I believe will not happen. But if you plan to go to study in Quebec, just take it from me. Don't bother. Avoid Quebec. There is no pathway to becoming a permanent resident if you come to study in Quebec. So this is the information I said I was coming to share. Thank you so much for watching and see you in the next video. Bye.
Will trust be the going back. We will see the rise. Oh Canada, oh Canada.